featuring Dr. David Klein of the Stages of Life Institute. And we're going to be talking today about something that I noticed the week after the shooting at the Pulse in Orlando, and I've still noticed it in the waning weeks after. And that is that I believed after that shooting that there were people that were not involved in it, had nothing to do directly with it except for the proximity in miles and the fact that it happened in Central Florida. But I was worried about, and we'll ask the doctor about, are these people suffering from some sort of anxiety over their vulnerability, or just the sheer shock of it all, or is it an effect on people?
The long and short of it is this: is that we are going to make ourselves sick. If we're not doing it to ourselves, the media is doing it to us, okay? Because they're selling commercials, they're selling this, they're selling that. Somebody's going to make out in this deal. But the fact of the matter is that we're all vulnerable. Okay, the folks at Lockerbie, airliner drops from the sky, wipes out their town. You know, we heard very little about that in the weeks afterwards, other than the fact that they had to clean up. Around here, we need to be made of stronger stuff. So yes, it really is a bad thing. Somebody went in and shot up 49 Americans, wounded 50-some more. Okay, they were Americans. They weren't Latinos. They weren't gays. They were Americans. We forget that. If we forget that, they win. The longer we dwell on this, the more they win. So what do? Recognize the fact that you are vulnerable. You have been vulnerable. If that makes you anxious, good. Okay, maybe you can do something about it. What would you do about it? Well, you go into a nightclub, look around for the exit. Look around for egress. When you go onto an airplane, you're supposed to do that. They tell you to. Look around for the nearest exit. In the event of an emergency, put your oxygen mask on first. Understand that nobody is safe, and if you're not protecting yourself, you've got to pray that somebody around you is. So it wasn't a great surprise, okay, that gun sales doubled after this incident. It's a vote of it's not a vote of confidence in our government's ability to protect us. We have got to protect ourselves.
Do you think, as a medical practitioner, that there were people acting out in the 2 weeks following, and maybe still, that were acting out that don't even really give a lot of conscious thought to it, but is beat into us every minute by the news media, but they were lashing out at their family. They were getting mad at the kids. They were kicking the dog or whatever, and really looked down and thought, I don't usually act like this. What is wrong with me?
Okay, there are people out there that are going to take it harder than others. There's no question about it. But, okay, we've had many tragedies in this country. We all go through tragedies all the time, yet we don't react that way. But when we're beaten down by our own media, it's going to happen. So you turned on the television, you can turn it on today, and you're going to see one person after the next looking for something to be outraged about with regards to this particular tragedy. Now, between the time of the shooting and now, twice as many people died in Chicago of gunshot wound. You don't see anybody going nuts over that now, do you? Did anybody in our town lose any sleep over that? I really don't think so. Now, there are those individuals that are going to be hit hard, those that were in the nightclub, those that were involved very directly. I sat down with some first responders this past week to hear what they had to say about it. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they took a pretty good hit. But you know something? They're professionals. They move on. Police officers every day have to see some pretty grim things on the road. You haven't lived until you've seen somebody, half of them rubbed away, from a motor vehicle accident, or somebody that jumps off of a building. They get flattened. It's fairly disturbing to see this, and it's even worse to have to clean it up. But you move on. And then you've got individuals that are getting sick watching the television. So either you steel yourself to this, or you're going to make yourself sick, and somebody else is going to suffer for it. So what do? Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Used to be known as shell shock or combat fatigue. This occurred after many days in a foxhole losing sleep. It's all a matter of sleep loss. Okay, if you lose sleep, everybody is going to develop this type of fatigue. Okay, now if you're a news junkie, as I am, okay, I like listening to the news. I like making the news. I like being part of the news. But nevertheless, a news junkie is going to sit back and listen to the same thing over and over and over again, and pretty soon you start to lose sight of the fact that it was a singular event. But we have a much bigger crisis in this country, and it's lack of control. Lack of control over our borders, lack of control over our personal security. They're going to be taxing sugar, okay, in Philadelphia. My God, a penny and a half for every ounce of sugar in a soft drink. Okay, we are regulating ourselves to death, but not protecting each other. This is nuts, okay? And if anything needs to be learned from this, okay, it's how to look forward and move forward. So what do I think? I think that post-traumatic stress disorder is very, very real, but it occurs as a result of sleep loss for the most part. Now, there are going to be other individuals that are going to develop it a little bit more slowly, but it almost always involves nightmares. It almost always involves lack of ability to focus, lack of ability to sleep. So what's the first thing that you do when you think that you might have post-traumatic stress disorder? Go to sleep. Get yourself a good night's rest. How do you do this? Okay, there are any number of ways, there are any number of means, and there are any number of mechanisms to get yourself to sleep. There are medications that you can use to do this if you need it. When I treat people for PTSD, and I do all the time, okay, I use a combination of what are called alpha-1 and alpha-2 blockers. I'll use prazosin and orphenadrine. Okay, these are muscle relaxants and blood pressure pills. What do? They block certain bits and pieces of chemistry that are involved with regards to recurrent thoughts and nightmares. Does it work? Yeah. What is it about PTSD? It's almost always something that involves nightmares. No nightmares, no PTSD. It's real simple in my view. Okay, I've seen it in wartime, I've seen it in peacetime, I've seen it in many regards, but it's a matter of nightmares and it's a matter of rest. So what do? Steel yourself.
Okay, got a question. Been very concerned about all of these shootings and what sets some of these people off. And I think that there's a wide agreement, maybe getting wider, that a lot of these people have mental problems. And so they're acting out and they get a gun and they're taking it off. As I say, they could have used an airplane. They could have used a bomb. They could have used anything. It's not the weapon. It's the whoever did this. Now, when you see somebody in your family, and sometimes in some of these school shootings, theater shootings, we'll hear one of the parents or a friend down the block go, well, he's just been acting out lately. He's been saying things that aren't real, that just don't seem to go with him the way we used to know him. Well, isn't it somebody's responsibility to look for these warning signs?
Well, we do all the time, but who do you call?
There you go.
Who do you call? Do you call the police? No crime has been committed. Is there anybody else you can call? The FBI? It's not a federal crime. Who do you call? Department of Health? Good luck. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Fire department? The fact of the matter is that you can see something odd going on. Okay, but unless it looks like it involves criminal intent, there's nobody that's going to be interested or able to take your call. So, I have people call me all the time. I speak to family members and they'll say, gee, Dad has been acting a little bit peculiar, or he's been doing this or he's been doing that. And then I'll suggest that if you think there's criminal behavior going on, and it doesn't sound like it to me, okay, then you have an obligation to call the police. Then they don't. Okay, because they're afraid of the repercussions of doing it, or the embarrassment, or if you're profiling somebody. The last time a grandma blew up an airport was when? Never. Okay, the long and short of it is that you can go to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's extraordinarily unlikely that an Amishman is going to blow you away with a submachine gun. It isn't going to happen. So you go ahead and you look at somebody with bombs in their living room, as happened in San Bernardino. And then you look at the repercussions of calling in somebody because they're Islamic. You could get punished in your mind's eye for doing exactly the right thing.
Wow.
Well, think it through. Think it through.
Yeah. All right. But here's Robin on how you can connect with the stages of life.
Well, give us a call at 407-679-3337 or visit us on the web at stagesoflife.net. We are located in Longwood at 1917 Booth Circle. That's right off of I-4 and 434. Our office hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and the health store is open during office hours. So please come on in and see us. We'd love to see you.